President Hawkins?
Yes.
We're on.
We ready now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone.
You are unmuted.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Today is May 27th. It's approximately 7:59 p.m. We're having a special meeting for our on our budget this evening. With that being said, this is a continuation of our last meeting. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. No, we didn't.
Continuation, we don't need to do it.
The pledge. Oh, you're right. The opening kind of formalities. Let's do the roll call for the board of members.
Director Dr. Michael Taylor.
Present.
Director Greg Young.
Here.
Director Dr. Clifford Young.
Here.
Vice President Kyle Crowther.
Here.
And President Channing Hawkins.
Here. Well, we're here with the budget workshop 2020-21. Can we ask for the CFO and the general manager to come forward? We have a few questions outstanding regarding the budget. I don't know if they'll all get answered tonight, but there were some questions that the board had regarding the proposed budget. Oh, look, no, I'm sorry, I skipped public participation. Public participation, first of all, let's adopt the agenda. Didn't we already adopt the agenda? This is a continuation. Yeah. What about no public participation against the continuation? Did we have any public participation? No public participation, so we move forward. Next up, questions. Let's go. For the CFO.
Good evening, everyone. Continuation of our fiscal year 2021 budget workshop. This is workshop number 2. Before you, I have the CIP budget that was presented, that's presenting tonight, in addition to the operating budget that was presented last week. On the CIP budget, staff and I had spent significant amount of time trying to simplify our projects, identify our projects. We also discussed these projects with the engineering department, operation department, and the CIP, the capital improvement department, to isolate and identify projects by priority, and also trying to satisfy our CIP budget reserves. So with that said, we've created a spreadsheet that lists the replacement projects, replacement and rehab projects. We've listed the new projects, and we've added to the list our capital outlay category. The capital outlay category, I'll add a little bit to it. That's primarily for non-infrastructure type assets, such as software, computers, vehicles, things of that nature. In the replacement rehab section are projects that were started and was not completed, so we're moving them into the next fiscal year. In addition to that, there are new projects, which is listed on page 2 as the new project list, that the departments are requesting to start next fiscal year. And in each project, we've identified funding source, which is either capacity charge or the district's reserve, and identify them in a priority fashion, meaning number 1 is the highest priority, number 2 is medium, and 3 is the lower priority that could possibly be pushed back into, future years. We've also broken out, provided a spreadsheet that has future years. It forecasts for the next 4 years of projects that we'll be anticipating that we would like to start. And then on the last page, it provides us with with a summary of funding. And if you look at the 2019-2020 column, the total project funding there or requirement is $19.8 million. Of that, $6.4 million is remaining. 13 million is being carried into the next year. In addition to that 13 million, there is about 14.6 million of new proposed projects for the upcoming year. So that kind of summarizes, the CIP portion of the budget. Questions?
Ricky, on the, first of all, thank you for all the hard work you and your team are putting together, and especially getting me the details that I always ask for. General Manager Mansell told me that Rosa is on the line. I do have a question regarding one of the projects that, if we can ask her if she's online. Rosa, are you there?
Director Greg, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry, I'm having a really hard time listening. There's a lot of background noise. So sorry if I don't hear your full question.
Okay, I will try to be very, very clear. Looking at the proposed spending on the CIP, I did notice that you had placed the item of the Bloomington Alleyway Replacement Project. It looks like Phase 3B, if I'm adding them up correctly. And the initial copy we received had this actually for the next year, but it looks like you had asked to have it moved up. I just wanted to kind of hear from you on why you feel we need to do this year and not in a future year.
So we were asked the question if there was one water line project that we would have gone for or would like to move forward. Just due to the fact that this was in the disadvantaged community, we took the opportunity to move this forward. Also, the location where the water lines are and where the water meters are, those were other reasons why we looked at this project. And just since we had already completed Phase 3A, it was just a smooth transition to continue with Phase 3B. And then we do have another section to complete the project, but that one should be reviewed at a later time.
Okay. Would there be any service disruptions or potential issues if this project was delayed?
No. All of the existing lines, homes that are connected to this phase have water. It would not interrupt the current customers.
Okay. And the $3 million would be for the actual construction of that section, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
We have about 141 laterals, similar to the first phase, of the customers that would be connected to the water line in front of their home, as opposed to in the back property.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Rosa. Appreciate you getting on for that.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions?
I do have a general question for Mr. Mandelbaum. Again, also thank you for putting together the revenue analysis that I asked for, Ricky. One of the questions that I have is, because we're still kind of coming up here to like the last month of the year, kind of looking here at the historical trend, we've generally bounced somewhere between 1.3 and maybe $1.6 million in consumption sales in the months of June. Would you say that we're probably on track to get somewhere around that for this June?
Yes, we are. It may be just a little below, but I don't anticipate it being.
So if we
Dramatically
say,
off.
so conservatively, we say 1.3.
Yeah,
Okay, so if we added the 1.3 to the 14.7 we already have here, that puts us at about 16 million for water sales for the year.
pretty.
And so for the budget which you're proposing, if I'm reading this right, you're proposing 15.3 for total water consumption sales for next year?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, is it just conservative on your part to be a little under, or, just full disclosure, I'd rather you be more conservative than too optimistic, but it looks like we're gonna hit about 16 million this year, but you're proposing 15.3 for next year.
Yes. From the onset of this budget, I've been, my message is to be conservative because we are experiencing a tremendous unpredictable future with the COVID-19 pandemic. There's folks, losing their jobs. We do not have the ability to disconnect and do all sorts of things. So I am anticipating, based on my research and communication, that there will be a decline. And let me just give you a little bit of an update, so I'm not making this thing up. Cucamonga Valley, they just went back to doing a 6% decrease in revenue and 4% over the next 2 years. So I did a conservative 10% just for this upcoming year, just to, be safe. And that's why you see my.
Yeah, and I have no issue with that kind of thinking. I think that does make sense. I'm just not sure if we need to go all the way down to that or not, but I'd rather be safe than sorry with it. But just kind of looking at this analysis, and again, thank you for putting this together because this is very helpful. I mean, it doesn't really look like we suffered much of a decline over these past few months as far as water sales. In fact, if anything, it looks like some months we might have actually had more, maybe because people were home using more water than they normally would be. Now, I agree, there's uncertainty into the future, and you're absolutely right about everything you said. So I'm okay with budgeting down. I'm just bringing up, are you sold on that being that, what I say was $15.3 million instead of maybe a little higher? Or
I'm sold on
Okay.
that number. Yeah. And you touched on a very good point that I should mention. As folks are home,
yeah,
consumption goes up,
yeah.
and they don't have the ability to pay. We are also increasing our operating costs by providing more. Just another hit to the operations.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Ricky.
Yeah. Okay. I think, we have, I know that we want to continue the meeting to Saturday, June 6th. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm wearing my mask outdoors. So Saturday, June 6th, we'll schedule it at 9 a.m. for our next budget hearing. I think we have some homework to do. I know that we gave direction to the CFO and the general manager to go back and speak with staff regarding any places that are projects that could be, well intended, nice to have. We want to be able to keep our people, and so to have another crack at the budget and making cuts where they deem appropriate, so we can have more deliberation. as it stands right now, do we have a motion on the floor to,
Make the motion, we continue the meeting till June 7th.
there you go, there's a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Oh, wait, hold on, Mr. CFO,
I'm gonna, interrupt for 1 second.
Okay.
And I'm gonna kind of really, in order for me to move forward, I'm gonna ask some specific direction from the board, so I know what to come back with. I know we talked about, a bare bones budget, so when we mention that, are we talking about leaving the revenues and expenditures back to 100% as they were last time, or do you want me to continue with my 90% and keep the operational?
Mr. President,
I would say
Hold on,
continue.
President,
yes,
Mr. President, I think the CFO has given pretty clear direction in closed session.
well, no, I think we'll give the CFO the liberty to ask his questions. And he's asking for direction. I'll let him have, the ability to ask some clarification because he feels need to, and it's his job, and so let's give him the opportunity to ask his questions.
Okay, I'm not,
Thank you.
I'll answer the question.
Can he ask his question?
I heard it.
Okay, I don't know if the rest of us heard him.
Okay.
What was your question? Please ask the question.
So my question is, the budget that I am going to, bring back 100%, is it going to be 100% of the revenue and expenditures? Or is it the 90% reduction that I'm proposing? Because I don't know what,
Well, I think,
when we say bare bones, I think
I think this is true. Now, do you have a response, Dr. Young? Okay, that's the question, Dr. Young, you answer the question.
I think all of us have the budget that you recommended and the assumptions on the budget.
Yes.
All of us have that, but we agree or disagree with it, but all of us have that. I think you should work on that as a base and duration rather than trying to come up with another scenario. I hope other board members agree with me on that.
Well, I think there was some direction given as well to go back and talk to staff where we could look at some of these items and request here and see where we can, trim some of the fat on these requests to end up in the same place if that's possible.
I agree with that.
I think we need to function. We need to be a functional organization. But I know that some of, and I think what I hear the CFO saying very loudly and clearly, and at least how I took it, is some of the bells and whistles, we're not gonna have.
We're assuming basically the same assumptions you have presented thus far. 90% revenue, when we need to match that with cuts. But we want you to go back.
Or to get as close as where we can.
Yeah, go back, work with the departments to see what is absolutely necessary for operation and what could possibly be trimmed down to help us get to that.
And delay in capital.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have any. Anybody else have any? Okay, any other questions? He has a hard job trying to please us. I tell the joke all the time. My wife knows I'm cheap, and so we're not gonna spend no money around here. Y'all shouldn't have voted me in if you wanted to spend some money.
Okay.
We're gonna figure it out. We got a second?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, call for the vote. No, we just adjourned.
We just adjourned.
Continue to the next time.
Okay.
Somebody has to vote.
Mr. President, we need to report out before you do that, Mr. President. for your
Okay,
convenience.
yes, Mr. General Counsel. Please report out.
Thank you, Mr. President. The board considered several items in closed session. No final action was taken, and no reportable action was taken.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm watching this British.
Are you watching British TV?